I think the most important thing which came out of this story, or this family, British Australian, who lived in the countryside in a region called Abruzzo here in Italy, and all that hassle, all negative publicity, in the intervention of the social services and courts as well, regarding the well-being of the kids. It's not like if these kids have been neglected, abandoned, or beaten up, or left to starve, like in many situations here in Italy, when it comes to the gypsies. Their kids go around begging for money, stealing, living in a rubbish tip, and with rats and stuff. And the authorities here in Italy, they don't do nothing, strangely enough. Seeing this style of life to go off grids, it renounce most of modern commodities, you should say. It looks like the powers that be do not like that. They don't want people to be resilient, independent, think for themselves. This is what basically it's all about. And the fact they pull out the fact, these kids don't go to school. They are going homeschooling, which for the Italian law here in Italy is perfectly legal. At the end of the school term, you go for a test to certify your schooling, basically. Because, it's strange, especially the Italian government. Mind you, it's always been like this. It's okay if you're at an early age, kids have an iPhone, always glued to the television screen, video games, also social network. That's fine. It's fine to eat rubbish, junk food and stuff like that. Attending public schools which are just brainwashing people. They don't teach you the necessary skills to survive in this world. And all the narratives which they're pushing, wokeness and all that stuff, what type of future the youth of today, in what world they're gonna take in our place? I think they're more easier to push over, more easy to lie to, brainwash I should say, more dependent towards the state, seeing the type of value which they are, or narratives they're teaching in schools. You start from there. And all the negative things that after they talk about ecology, being more green, using less energy, less consumerism. It's the other way around. They're just a bunch of hypocrites. And the fact is, when, for some motive, the tyrants gain power, they start passing these emergency laws, or God knows what. They're not just going out for the dissidents, they're going out for the people who they know are self-reliant, independent from the state, very critical, probably against the government's narrative in that moment there. The fact is, Agenda 2030 is everyone will be the same, basically, with the same money, living in the same place. It's a bit like a time of communism. In this case, the family of the Woods is sending a message to people and saying, if you don't follow our narrative in the future, you have a family, we shall take it away. A bit like in Canada, the truckers' convoy against the so-called medication, which the Canadian government wanted to force on them. They freeze all bank accounts, they seized everything. The police just abuse of their powers, and basically the people's rights were violated, constitutional rights thrown out the window. It's very easy for them to use a situation like this and creating the boogeyman, which for those people who are flip off grid, don't use much of modern technology, has less contact with with the mass media, communications and all that stuff. We're on the doorstep of a dawn of a dystopian society. Slowly, it's coming. And the thing is, we don't realise yet. They are doing things behind our backs, passing laws limiting our capacity to be more independent from the government, more dependent upon them. And when the shit hits the fan, the powers that be, the occult, they're already just in their bunkers. The government contingency, they're already planned everything. When it comes to the moment and they say all hell's breaking loose, any event which in the end leads to mass casualties of persons, civilians, coming nuclear war, collapse of society, a so-called pandemia, which we had experienced before. Anything, and explains why they are simulating how to behave in determinate situations, basically, the powers that be. Pandemia was just a clear dress rehearsal for that. They know who will be obedient, and they know who's going to kick back, and they know who they're going to go after.